So today we are joined by Oktagon light heavyweight champion Will Fleury.
Thanks for having me.
So you'll be fighting on the March 8th card in Stuttgart against Lazar Todev for the vacant heavyweight title. What's your thoughts on the matchup?
I'm very excited about it. Look, chance to become a double champ. It's always a great thing to be able to achieve in anybody's career. But I think as well the fact that it's the heavyweight title, which is kind of like the boss title. If you have the heavyweight belt, you can pretty much fuck everybody else up. So that's cool. And also, Todev's a pretty tidy fighter. He's like his record doesn't look as good as he is. But he's won his last 9 fights, or he's won, I think, is it 9 out of his last 10, and the one that he lost was to Moel, which was for the title, and that was a pretty close decision. So he's a good fighter. He's a very solid guy. I think he's kind of underrated as heavyweight, and he's also not a massive heavyweight. So it's kind of like size wise, it means I don't have to put on a shitload of weight to fight the guy either. So happy about all of those things, to be honest, and just excited about getting in there and smashing it.
Yeah, and what's your predictions for the fight? How do you see it going down?
Like it'll come together a bit more as of we're still about 6 weeks out now.
Yeah.
So I've been drilling a couple of little things of breaking them down over time. So right now I'm kind of looking at end of the second, start of the third round, putting it kind of at a pace where that will eventually break him. That's the way I'm seeing it at the moment. But as I watch more of them and as the fight gets closer, I'll kind of have a better picture of how I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and this fight came about because I think Todov originally had another opponent planned for this heavyweight belt, and so obviously maybe this wasn't in your immediate plans. But are you sort of happy with how this has played out?
Yeah, it's worked out ideally. So he was supposed to fight a guy, Moel, a Turkish guy also living in Germany, back in December 7th. That fight was supposed to be. But Moel fucking threw a belt across the table at the press conference, which hit Pavel Neruda in the head, cut his head, and then, ridiculous thing to fucking do in the first place. But look, it's fighting, shit happens, whatever. But they were like, look, we're gonna fine you for that. So he didn't get thrown out straight away. They were just like, yeah, we're gonna fine you, obviously. And he was like, no, fuck you, I'm not gonna fight if you fine me. They were like, obviously we have to fine you. So then he didn't fight. And it was only announced during the card that he was going to fight, so that was mad. And I feel for Todov as well, to be honest, man, because he did nothing wrong. He fucking trained his ass off, showed up to fight. Obviously he didn't have to make weight, which not too bad. But overall, the guy's obviously been preparing for a fucking 5 round fight, and then nothing happened. So I'm glad that we can do this now, and fucking he can have a shot, and I can go in and whoop his ass and take the belt too. So.
And so your last fight saw you win the light heavyweight belt. It was a grueling 5 round battle. How great was that night for you?
That's class night, yeah. And to be honest, it wasn't too grueling a fight. It was mostly me whooping his ass. Besides the end of the third round, I never felt too tired, to be honest. It was more he was very fucking strong, and I couldn't believe how powerful he still was even after eating some of the shots. And the main thing, I was a little bit disheartened early about Jesus Christ, I just cannot get rid of this guy. Because some of the shots I was hitting him, I was like, how the fuck is he still standing? And he was look, all credit to him. What a fucking man. I said, he took some ridiculous shots that night, just kept going. And I think the fact that it was his home crowd and, he didn't want to get finished in front of his own crowd made a huge difference. But a few times I was like, jeez, man, come on. The ref should be stopping this nearly. But look, he stayed going, so fair play to him.
Caught him with some massive shots in those earlier rounds. I was surprised he managed to survive. And obviously, so you had a face-off with Muradov at the end of that fight. Was that the immediate plan afterwards? Was that sort of where your focus was?
So it's good. I wanted to do the game changer tournament at middleweight. I thought that's where I can make the biggest impact and the most money. And to me, all of this thing is about getting the biggest fights possible. So that to me seemed like the biggest opportunity out there. And then it was only a week after that fight. It was I fought on the Sunday night, and I think it was Thursday night they called me and were like, would you be up for doing heavyweight? So the few days after the fight, I was trying to not go too crazy and not eat too much, and was thinking I'll probably have to make middleweight for March or April time. And then I was like, no, it's the opposite. Go have a fucking burger, enjoy it, heavyweight time. So in a way, heavyweight in March was just okay, nice, this works. I was about 103 kilo then. I'm up to about 105 now. I don't plan on gaining too much more weight, but just logistically and in terms of what you have to do with your body, it's a little bit easier and it's more enjoyable for sure. So
Yeah. And he's also on that March 8th card. So it seems like maybe they're lining up. If you both get the wins, that's going to be next. And so you're saying that's going to be at middleweight. So potentially,
Well, he's insisting it's going to be at middleweight, but he's a pretty big fucking dude.
mm,
I don't think it's too easy a cut for him either. So let's just be reasonable here. We could do a catch weight, like, okay, like maybe on a small bit. But I don't think I'm even like when we stood against each other in the cage that day. I think he's actually slightly taller than me, and like, okay, maybe he's not as filled out as I am, but like, it's definitely not a huge difference in body composition between the two of us. So I feel like we could easily do a catch weight and would make a lot more sense for both of us, and we could do it a lot faster. Because if you want me to make middleweight, that's going to take a little while. And if I start making middleweight, you pull out or some shit happens, fuck you, like. So I'd be a bit skeptical about going down, even unless I was 100% sure he's committed to it, because he's had a good few pullouts recently. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'd much rather do a catch weight.
yeah, it's a definite big commitment for yourself. And obviously, if you get the win and get that second belt, where does this rank in your accomplishments in your career?
Well, he'd definitely be number one, yeah. Like being a double champ in Europe's biggest organization, and like they look like they're going to be, one of the bigger crowds coming up. Like they're definitely growing at a faster rate than any other promotion out there at the moment. So yeah, that'd be huge. I think if you're a double champ within Octagon, you're in a very good position right now. So I'm very excited about making that happen. And once you get there, then it's kind of time to survey the land and see where things lie, and you can assess your options at that point. But like right now, it's all about getting there.
Yeah, and when you started your MMA career, could you see it reaching these heights? Obviously headlining 15,000 seat stadiums. Potential double champ status.
Yeah, like it's funny, but you you kind of always have to believe that's possible. So like I didn't think it would be like this, but I always thought I could do something pretty big. I feel like you wouldn't fight like this, like you wouldn't commit this much to it unless you thought something good could happen out of it.
Mm.
But throughout most of the like I've been fighting for about 15 years, and for most of the last 15 years, it doesn't feel like you're going to get the platform to go out and do that. And thankfully, within the last year, I've gone and got the platform to go and do that. So like I'm very grateful for that it's finally happened. But like I was the guy doing the work all of that time as well. So I feel like I've been fucking really good for a long time. And it's just now that I'm getting a chance to prove it. Because even like I never really got given a platform like this before. So I'm extremely determined to make the most of that. Go out there and show, hey, fuck you, I'm a really high level fighter. Like I've been training with guys over the years who've like, you know, they make fucking significantly more money than I do. And I'm just like, here, man, I could beat the piss out of all of these guys. Like, why the fuck can I not make a proper living out of this sport? Like, so I'm glad that I'm finally getting somewhere with that. Like,
Yeah, and like you said, you are a veteran of the sport, been fighting for 15 years, and you've been in great form since joining the promotion. How does Octagon rank amongst the other organisations you've fought for? Because you've been around, you fought
in
a few
terms
different
of like
places.
backstage and being a fighter with them and stuff.
The production, the kind of the management, and yeah, all that aspects.
Well, like, the one thing I'll definitely say is like as a fan, because I went to two cards. I went to one in Ostrava back in March last year, and I went to one in Bratislava where I was doing the face off with Carlos to promote the most recent fight. And just to be there as a fan is fucking class. They're really well run events. You really enjoy it, like, because I've been to a lot of like the Bellator, the PFL events, and even one or two UFC cards. And in fairness, UFC do a good job. Like, it is a good event overall, but like, there's a lot less crowd interaction and there's a lot less buzz, if you know what I mean. So even though like a lot of it is kind of like not massively like fights I wouldn't be hugely invested in, I feel like they kind of pulled me into it. Like, like even though I might not know all the guys in the card that well, or I'm not that invested in their careers, by the end of it, like I'm like, fuck, I really hope this lad wins. And you're in the fights and you're invested. Like, so they're very good at doing that. In fairness, and like I love the way they promote fights. I like the way they kind of create the narrative and then sell it to you. Like, and even that's all before the event, but like actually at the event as well. Fuck it, they do a damn good job. The production's really good. Even like there's little promo videos before the guys come out, so you're like you kind of know the character a bit, even if you haven't a clue who the guy was beforehand. It gets you like you're attached to what's happening. Like, they're the best events I've been to as a fan, anyway. And then like backstage production wise, as a fighter, they're pretty fucking good too. They're professional. Everything is very well run. They're a very professional company to work for, is what I was saying. Like everything is just well organized, well like set up, and like you feel like oh, okay, this is high level shit. Like, and even like a lot of the time with some of the bigger crowds, because like I've fought fucking basically everybody besides the UFC. Um, and sometimes, yeah, things are lacking where you think they'll be very organized. You're like, oh, this is actually pretty poor. So they're quite good by and large.
Yeah, and like you said, you'd say they're probably the fastest growing MMA promotion around at the
Yeah,
moment.
looks like it, yeah.
Um, are there some sort of prospects or some fighters coming up that you've seen who are going under the radar who you think could be making some moves over the next year or two?
There's that guy Mateus Penis. Like I like the way he fights. I like his style. He'd be the one guy, but I'd be looking at like he's in that game changer tournament now. So I guess we'll get to see this year how he does. Um, I think Keita's class. In fairness, you know, like I'm number two pound for pound now. Keita's number one, and I'm like,
Mm.
yeah, that guy's done it. You know, like I aspire to put on performances like that because he's fucking class. Like even like I went back and watched his fight with Paradiser after. Paradiser's a fucking great fighter too, and the way he dismantled him and the way he dealt with him was just fucking beautiful to watch. So like, you know, I know he's already there. He's not exactly up and coming, but fuck, like I love watching that dude fight. I like watching that Mateus Penis fight as well. They have a couple of good guys at bantamweight. Actually, there's a young lad, Rafael Federico, who's going to make his debut next week in Dusseldorf, and he's very good. Like very, very good jiu-jitsu game. Like he's tapped me a few times, and he's about fucking. I think he's fighting a bantamweight for this one. Like, so you
Wow.
know, very high level jiu-jitsu and just very intelligent guy. I'm kind of excited to see how he gets on.
And I've seen we were chatting about this before, but I've seen on your Twitter bio it says you once beat up 16 guys outside Hillbillies. Do you wanna tell us about that night?
It's just a fucking ridiculous story that grew legs. Like, basically, a buddy of mine, like, he was up. I was giving him a piggyback, and we hit into a group of lads, and they got pissed off and they pushed us to the floor and started giving us a few digs on the floor, like kicking us and whatnot on the floor. And I got up anyway, and you know I'm a fairly big lad, so they all kind of calmed down a bit. And then my buddy, who was a good bit smaller, went over and started telling them all off. So he went into the middle of like 20 lads and was like, "You're a fucking scumbag. You were kicking me in the head, blah blah." And he's got a point, but like, just shut the fuck up, maybe. And anyway, they all started jumping on him, like, and fucking giving him a few digs. So then I was just like outside the crowd and was pulling boys away, trying to get my mate out. And then as it happened, there was just kind of like lads coming one by one. So I dropped like three, four guys, and then I ran another guy into a fountain. But the story got ridiculous. Like, so like, you know, we basically legged it then. We just ran away. Like, so once I got my buddy out, we just fucked off. And the crowd had kind of like, they weren't coming after us so much because like a few of their buddies had been hurt or whatever. But like a day later, I was here and I kicked the shit out of like 12 guys. The day after that, it was like 15 guys. Then it, like I think I heard 20 once or twice as well. And I was like, all right, so we'll just settle on 16. You know, so just a bullshit story that grew legs.
That's great. That's great. And so we've seen a recent sort of reignition of the Irish Russian MMA rivalry. We've got Paul Hughes fighting Usman Nurmagomedov this weekend, and there's been some comments made by Khabib saying, he's comparing Russian MMA, saying it's levels above Irish MMA. What did you make of those comments?
Like, he's not completely wrong. They do have a lot more world champions than us, and like that's what pisses me off. You know, he's got a point, unfortunately. So like we have like look, if you compare us to most of the rest of the world, yeah, we're killing it, we're doing great. Like there's, you know, a hell of a lot of Irish fighters and they're all at a pretty fucking good level. You know, you have the likes of Derek Kelly, Kieran Clark, Nathan Kelly, who's gonna fight on that card as well. You know, they're very solid fighters. Paul Hughes is doing very well, Ian Gary's doing very well. But like they're not champion level yet anyway. And, you know, the Caucasus and Dagestan and Chechnya and Georgia seem to be producing these guys consistently, and like even a lot of the rest of Russia. And it is like, right, they're obviously the best at the moment. Why the fuck aren't we better than them? And I think that's a legit question to ask. And like, all right, you can take it as an insult and be like, okay, he's shitting on us. It's like, why does he have the opportunity to shit on us? Why aren't we fucking better? Why don't we have a load of champions? Is the way I would look at it. So I wouldn't take it too personally. I'm just like, yeah, fuck it, he's talking shit. Let him talk some shit. He can because they're killing it. Fair play to them. Well done, lads. You know. But what do we need to fucking do to be there? That's the way I'd look at it. And like, I think that's a fucking question we need to examine a little bit and get into. And like, look, Ireland, we do have this culture. We have this fucking beautiful culture where like we back our own lads, and even like in general, I think like an Irish fighter will kind of back themselves more. They're like, we have an attitude like, yeah, fuck it, give it a go, and it's a really good culture in a way. But it's like, right, if you have that attitude and then you have the technique and the fucking skill set to back that up, then there's a level of belief that people can't fuck with. And I see these Dagestani boys, and I don't think culturally they're as like strong a fighting fucking culture as we
Mm.
have. But technically they're way better. They have a wrestling background, like look at their grappling, look at fucking the way they break guys down in fights. It's beautiful. Fair folks to them. They've developed that system and they've made it work and they're sharing it with the rest of the world, and they've taken the best of Sambo and the best of Jiu-Jitsu and made it kind of work in this unique enough style. And now the rest of the world's fucking copying their base. Fair folks. But someday, like, and this thing, I want like I'd love to fight the fucking best Dagestani light heavyweight out there. I genuinely would, because like, okay, give me a chance. I feel like I've done the work to be at this fucking level. Let me go out there and prove that. You know what I mean? I've learned all I can for as long as I can. So if I'm not fucking good enough, I want to find out. But give me the chance to fucking find out. So I'd love to find out like who the fucking best lad there is, and call him out, challenge him, like, and like maybe Ankalaev's the best. Well, he's Chechnyan, but like, yeah, Chechnya and Dagestan, it's kind of like roughly the
Yeah.
same fucking area basically. But like, yeah, I'd love to have a go. And overall, dude has a bit of a fucking point, and that's what pisses me off more than anything.
Yeah, yeah, and finally, if you win that second belt on March 8th, what is next for you? What more to achieve in the sport? I remember after you won that light heavyweight belt, you said you're just getting started. So
Yeah, there's a lot more, but like, I don't know what that path is yet. It's kind of where the biggest challenges lie. So wherever like the biggest opportunity and the biggest challenge is, I'll go there. And I'm chasing that for as long as I can, man. So I can't tell you where that is right now. Like, I want to win this belt first. Right now, that's the fucking full focus, is like, get in there, absolutely smash this, put on a fucking beautiful performance. You know, once you're there and you have that, then look around, see who's the next best thing. Is it Murdoch? Does he want to do a catch weight? Can there be somebody else coming in? Is there some big challenger coming up? Like, Alex Popik, he's a pretty solid fighter, but he just doesn't seem to want it right now as well. So like, if he
mm,
was kind of making a challenge for the light heavyweight belt, if he had a fight, like, I don't even think he has a fight lined up right now. And there's another guy, York Montagnac, who's a very explosive guy. Like, he'd be a tough fight in a way, I think, anyway. But none of these guys are putting their hands up and claiming for it. And it's like, lads, if you don't want it, it's never going to fucking happen for you. So like, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like, because this is the thing. If I was going to do a catch weight, I could really defend the belt on the way down. I'd like to fight pretty regularly, but the main thing is get in there and smash Tala first. So like, that's 6 weeks time now. The full focus for the next 6 weeks, smashing Tala. And once I get that belt, now we can have a look around and look at the options.
yeah, and obviously not overlooking anybody. You mentioned Ankalaev. You'd love to display your skills against
Yeah.
somebody of that caliber who gets that recognition. Would you like to see, obviously Octagon treat you great, great promotion? Would you like to see yourself in the UFC before all is said and done?
Look, like, I used to think if I never got there, my career would kind of be a little bit unfulfilled. But I genuinely don't feel like that anymore. At the same time, if I got a call and they said, "Hey, look, we've fucking last minute replacement. We want you to fight this guy on this day," fuck, I'd love to do it too. But like I said, it's where the biggest challenges lie, and like, genuinely, wherever that is, I'll go. So like, obviously, look, the UFC are considered the best promotion in the world. I would love to prove myself there, but I don't feel like I'm desperate to go and do that either. You know what I mean? As in, like, if I can get good challenges where I am and like do exciting fights and sell out arenas and be the headline of card, yeah, that's fucking amazing. That, like, even the way Octagon promote fights, the way they get behind their fighters, it's class. But if there's other avenues open and you're able to make a fucking shitload of money in those avenues, why the fuck wouldn't you? And I like this the thing. I feel like I could prove myself 50 times in Octagon, but like, you get into the UFC, you smash a couple of guys, everyone goes, "Whoa, fuck, he's high level," and you might not even be beating guys who are as good, but it's just the power of the brand. So who knows? We'll see where things go.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. And obviously, yeah, Octagon doing great things. You've got lots of exciting things coming up, which, yeah, can't wait for the fight on March 8th.
Cheers.
Wish you all the best of luck. And, yeah, hopefully we get to chat to you afterwards after the big victory and
Savage. Cheers.
first Irish
Cheers,
double
man.
champ of Octagon.
Boom. Yeah.